Oh, yeah.
Well, they gotta be someplace.
Yeah, well,
Do you think they're in the, maybe you left them in the edition?
oh, yeah, maybe. I'm sure there's someplace. I checked, but maybe they just.
Or you checked the edition?
Yeah, I think they did, but we'll find them when we get in there. Yeah, they have to be in there.
Well, you gotta find something.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to have them to get here, right?
Yeah. Yes, I know that they didn't go too far.
That's good. Well, thanks for being here and welcome to Monday morning yoga begin. So, yay, I'm excited. Is there anything that any of you guys want to focus on or have included today? You're like, oh, I really want
between my shoulders, super sore.
shoulders. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? No, just want to get moving?
Sure.
Awesome. We can do that. And it's like exactly 9 o'clock, so it's perfect timing. We are going to start in an easy seated position. So you can be crisscross applesauce. You can, I don't know, you could be however feels good. I usually end up putting a block under me for my hips, but you can kind of get yourself comfy. And we'll just start with a few neck stretches. So you can reach your fingertips out to the sides of your mat and drop your right ear to your right shoulder. I'll close this door to cut down a little more noise. You can let the extension of your arms and the weight of your head create space on the other side of your neck. And then let your head float back up to the center and drop your other ear to your other shoulder. And come back to center and then shrug your shoulders up to your ears really, really tight and let them drop, relaxing. Scrunch them up one more time, like you're wringing out a washcloth between your shoulders and your ears, and then release. And if you want to take a few shoulder rolls, you can roll your shoulders back. You can roll them forward a little. You roll them every which way if that feels good. And we'll make our way into child's pose. So for child's pose, your knees come wide to the edge of your mat. Big toes are touching, and then you sit your hips back on your heels. You can reach your hands forward on the mat in front of you. And as you're in child's pose, start to check in with your body and how it's feeling. See if you notice any tight places you didn't notice before. Or see if you're feeling pretty good in some areas that might normally be tense or painful. But just take some time to see where you're at today. And start to notice your breath as well. without trying to force it to change. Just see if your breath feels full and deep, or if it feels fast or shallow. Maybe explore where your breath is. If you feel your belly move when you breathe, or if you feel your chest or your shoulders move. And as you focus on your breath, it might naturally change a little bit, and that's okay, but it doesn't have to. And from your child's pose, slide your hands under your shoulders and press yourself up. We'll come into a tabletop position with your hips stacked over your knees and your shoulders over your wrists. And we'll just take a little bit of movement here, hinging back and forth, maybe snaking side to side, kind of reminding our bodies all the different ways that our spine can move. And here we are going to start to connect our breath with our movement. So making a little bit more intentional. As you inhale, we'll move into cow. So drop your belly, lift your tailbone, lift your gaze a little bit. And then as you exhale, round the spine, release your head and neck. And move through with your own breath. Inhaling to cow, exhaling to cat. Do one more cycle with your breath. And we'll meet back in a neutral tabletop position. Our next pose, thread the needle, is for that shoulders. So what you want to do is shift your weight into your left palm. So spread your fingers wide on the mat, press them into the mat firmly. Lift your right hand up overhead and then slide that hand under your other armpit. You can choose how far you want to come. You can keep that shoulder off the mat, or you can drop the shoulder down. You can even drop your cheek down to the mat. And you can slide your left hand forward if that also feels good. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, bring your left hand back under your shoulder. Lift up the right hand to the sky one more time and set it down. We'll set up for thread the needle on the other side. Shift your weight into your right palm, fingers spread wide. As you inhale, reach the left hand up. Exhale, slide it through under that other armpit and decide how far you want to go down. If you want to drop all the way to the shoulder, shoulder to the floor, cheek to the floor. And take one more breath here before you slide those right fingertips back towards your body. Press yourself up. Lift your left arm to the sky once more, and then bring it down. And shake out anything that needs to be shaken out. Take some organic movement. And we'll move into our first down dog. So for down dog, I usually move my hands one handprint forward on the mat. But spread the fingers wide. Press each finger into the mat. Tuck your toes, lift your knees, lift your hips. And start pedaling out your down dog. You can straighten out one leg and then the other. Especially if your hamstrings are really tight. And then once your legs are feeling pretty good, reach your heels down towards the mat. They may or may not touch the mat, and that's okay. And your knees can also bend as much as you need to so that you can melt your heart towards your thighs and really lengthen the spine. You're creating one long line from your wrists to your shoulders to your hips. And take a big inhale. Gaze forward to the spot between your hands on the mat. As you exhale, we'll tiptoe, step our feet between our hands, coming to a forward fold. You can have your feet hip width apart, or you can have your big toes touching if you want, heels slightly apart. Let the whole top half of your body hang loose. Your arms can sway side to side. You can rest your pinkies in your elbows if you want. You can shake your head yes. You can shake your head no. Shake your head yes again. So that you know the entire head and neck and arms are free of all tension right now. And roll up slowly. We're going to come to standing, but take it so slow. It's like one vertebra at a time, like you're stacking each one on top of the last. And you might engage your core just a little bit to support the spine as you come up, but your head and neck get to stay relaxed until the very, very end, when they're the last things to come up. And shine your palms forward, letting your shoulders slide down and back away from the ears. And take a second to root down through your feet. If you want to adjust your stance, you can. Or maybe play with the weight changes. See where your weight is further in the ball of your foot or back in your heels. And find that halfway point, that sweet spot where you feel very stable. And you can even press your toes into the mat. And make sure you've got a little micro bend in the knees so they're not locked. Inhale your hands up overhead for extended mountain. And exhale, forward fold. You can bring your hands through heart center. And this time we'll come halfway up into a halfway lift. You can bring your hands to your shins or your thighs. Squeeze the shoulder blades back and together. And keep your gaze down at the mat so that your neck stays long and neutral. And forward fold. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead to extended mountain, big move. And exhale, forward fold. This time, plant your hands on the mat. Step one foot back, and then the other. We're coming to a high plank. And for high plank, you can always do this on your knees as well, because you're getting the same core action. We'll go high plank and slowly lower down all the way to the mat. Squeeze your elbows into your rib cage as you lower down and completely release. And we'll take a low cobra. So as you inhale, without putting weight into your hands, peel your chest up off the mat. Only as high as you want to go, and exhale, release. Inhale up to low cobra. Release again. And this time, inhale, peel your chest up off the mat. Bring your forearms out in front of you to come into Sphinx pose. And you can have your elbows as close to your body or as far away from your body as you want. And imagine pulling your heart through your arms. So you're pulling it forward, lengthening the spine. And take 3 more breaths here. As you inhale, think about shining your heart forward. As you exhale, release what you don't need. And after that last breath, you can release all the way down to the mat. And bring your hands under your shoulders. We'll press back up to tabletop. So push back onto your hands and knees. And we'll move into down dog from here. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, lift your knees. From down dog, inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step your feet between your hands to a forward fold. Take a breath. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead for extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands on the mat. Step 1 foot back, then the other. From your high plank, you can lower down into a low plank and then flip your toes. Come into an up dog. Exhale, tuck your toes, press back into down dog. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step your feet between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. So just coming up to your number 7. Exhale, forward fold. This time, inhale, sweep the arms up overhead for extended mountain. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands on the mat. Step back 1 foot, then the other. High plank to a low plank. Inhale, upward dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. And this time, inhale your right leg up behind you, like you're kicking the back wall. As you exhale, lunge it through. If your foot doesn't quite come between your hands, you can scooch it forward. And we're gonna come up to a crescent. So you can either keep your back knee and your back heel lifted as you bring your torso up, or you can drop that back knee and come into a kneeling crescent, your choice. And then bring your hands to heart center. We'll move into a revolved crescent. So leading with your heart, hinging from your hips, start to lean over your front leg. Once you feel that your spine is long, then you can start to inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, maybe that exhale allows you to relax into the twist a little bit. So be twisting towards your front leg. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Let that breath guide you so that you're not forcing or wrenching your spine. Take one more breath here. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, come into the fullest expression of this twist that your body likes. And then release back to center. Bring your arms up overhead. And exhale, release both hands to the inside of your front foot. Yep. And if you're still lifted, you can drop that back knee. And from here, we'll move into a runner's lunge. So you can toe heel your right foot up to the right corner of your mat. And if you want to stay right here, you can stay right here. If you want to come down onto your forearms, you can. Find your level of intensity that works for you right now. Some people like doing runner's lunges even more of a hip opener. So if you do want to drop your knee out to the side, just make sure that you come out to the knife edge of your foot with it so that your ankle stays in line with your knee. And when you're ready, start to move slowly. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Press your weight back into your back foot a little bit. And if you want to, this is optional, you don't have to do this, but if you want a little bit of a hamstring stretch, you can straighten your front leg as you bring your weight over your back knee. As you kind of sit up a little bit and flex the foot. I always like having a block handy for this too. Some people love this, some people hate it. So you love it.
Body's like, let's do this.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice counter pose. But there's some days where my hamstrings are like, what are you doing to me? This is actually how they teach splits in gymnastics. Yeah. Yeah, you go back and forth. You do the runner's lunge, you do the hamstring stretch. You go, I have no desire to make my legs do that. I really don't.
Do you used to be a gymnast?
For like a year when I was a kid. Yeah, not really. And then when you're done with your hamstring stretch, you can bring a bend back into that front knee. Send the front foot back. And you're going to shake it out, stretch it out. Do what feels good. If you want to make hip circles, you can. And then once you come back to your tabletop, we will rise up into downward facing dog and do the other side. If you want to pedal out again, you can. When you're ready, inhale your left leg up behind you. Exhale, lunge it through. Set yourself up for crescent. So once you've got your balance, you can keep that back knee and back heel lifted to come up to crescent, or you can drop that back knee if you want. Your choice, yogi choice. And bring your hands to heart center. And before you start to move into your twist, see if both your hips are pointing forward. And if they're even, if it feels like that left hip is pulling forward, see if you can draw it back and press the right hip forward to keep them even. And hinging from the hips, leading from the heart. Start to lengthen your spine. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. And that elbow might come to the outside of your leg, or it might not, and that's okay. Wherever you're at is the perfect place to be. Take one more breath here, inhaling to lengthen your spine, letting the exhale drop you into the fullest expression of your twist. And then as you inhale, slowly come back to center and bring both hands down to the inside of your front foot. If your back knee is lifted, you can drop it to the mat, make it comfy, and toe heel your left foot up to the corner. And take a minute to figure out what you want to do with your runner's lunge on this side, because sometimes whatever you did on the other side doesn't necessarily feel good this time around. So if you want to stay here, you can. If you want to use a block, you can. If you want to come down to forearms, it's really your call. Again, if you drop that knee out to the side, just make sure the ankle comes with it. You might need a little bit more time on this side or a little bit less. So you decide if you're feeling pretty even and balanced. If you're not, you can take a few more seconds. But when you're ready, bring that foot back on the ground, shift your weight back into your right knee and toe heel that front foot back. If you want to go for the straight leg, you can. As you shift your weight back, straighten the front leg, flex the foot so your toes are pointing up to the ceiling. Can use some blocks for balance. Oh, my left hamstrings don't like me today. Oh boy. I knew I was doing a lot of hiking, but I didn't realize my left side felt so different from my right. I actually flew out to Minnesota to see my friend. We've been really good friends when we worked at the call center, and I've only seen her once since she moved out there, which was like 4 years ago. So we just kind of spent like a long weekend, but there's some really nice little parks. I don't know the name of the little town, but it's like west of the main metropolis area. Yeah. Her in-laws live in Blaine. So it's like probably 45 minutes west of that teeny tiny town. When you're feeling even, when you feel good, shift your weight back, bend that front knee, and then send it back. Shake it out, stretch it out. Maybe do some hip circles. And then you can come back to a neutral tabletop. We're going to come up to standing so that we can move into triangle. So you can get to standing however you want to, but I like to step one foot out in front of me like a lunge, lift up my knee, and then step the other foot up. Whatever works for you. Find your way to standing. And we're going to go to triangle. So for triangle, you want to set your feet up kind of like warrior two, with your right foot pointing towards the front of your mat and your left foot parallel to the short edge of your mat in the back. And we could actually start in warrior two if you wanted to. It's one way to get into it. You can extend your hands, your arms to either side, straighten your front knee, but you might want to keep a little micro bend in there, and then kick your hips back to the back of the room so that you can reach forward over that front leg. And when you're reached all the way, then you can tick-tock your arms like the hands of a clock and find your triangle pose. This is also a place I like to sometimes use a block. I don't know if my fingertips will get there today, but sometimes it's nice to have that connection to the ground if my fingers don't quite reach. And take some time to breathe here. If you feel like your side is getting all crunched up and you don't have room in your rib cage to fill with breath, maybe lift up a little bit. And then bend the front knee, come back up to warrior two and reverse your warrior so that your right hand comes up overhead. You just get a little bit of a side stretch there. And bring your hands down. You can step your feet together, shake it out, and we'll just switch sides. So this time, left foot points forward, left foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat. You can start in warrior two with your front knee bent. And as you straighten the front leg, kick your hips to the back wall, reach forward, and then tip over into your triangle. And see if you can open the chest to the side wall. Take one more breath. Exhale and bend your front knee. Come back up through warrior two and then reverse warrior. Left hand comes overhead. Release your hands down and step the feet together. Shake it out if you need to shake it out. Does anybody have any requests for a balance pose? A preference?
You getting a request?
No.
Okay, let's go for tree, I think. So for tree, I love it because you can make it as intense or challenging as you want or need. So whatever your tree is, it's your individual tree, just like in nature. So you can start on whichever foot you want, whichever one feels sturdier, but put your weight into that foot, spread your toes wide, root down through the mat. Make sure you got like some little give in your leg. And then when you've got weight into your supporting leg, then you can start to pull up your other one. You can set your foot at your ankle. You can set it on your shin. You can bring it all the way up to your thigh. So kind of wherever that foot wants to sit. And you can bring your hands to heart center. Yeah, if you want to, you can grow your tree branches, challenge yourself a little bit. If you're feeling pretty good, pretty balanced, if you want to take it to another challenge level, you can always try to close your eyes. If you want to get real wild and crazy. And sometimes it helps to pick a spot on the wall or on the floor in front of you, like one of those little knots in the wood to focus on.
My world must be out of sorts if I'm super wobbly today.
It just means there's a lot of wind going through the trees today. That's all.
Yeah. Actually, tomorrow's supposed to be actual red flag.
Is it? Oh, man. Whenever you're ready, you can set that foot down, back on the ground, shake it out. And reset for the other side, whichever side you didn't do. So do the other foot as your supporting leg. Root down through that leg. Make sure you've got micro bend there so that it stays fluid. As you pick up your other toes, decide where you want to set it. Might be at the ankle, shin, anywhere but the knee joint, and you're good. Options to grow your branches or challenge your balance by closing your eyes. Sometimes it's good to have a point of focus. And sometimes you can find that balance through other ways. When you feel even, you can set that foot down. You can stay for a little bit. If you pop out, you can come back in. But if you're feeling pretty even, you can set the foot down when you're ready. And I think I'm good to bring it down to the floor. So we'll come to seated. And let's see. Yeah, we could do a one-legged staff pose. So for one-legged staff, extend one leg out in front of you straight, and the other one can come in kind of like tree pose. So you can set it wherever you want it. And make sure your sit bones are on the ground. If you want to stay here, you can. If you want to bring your arms up overhead and then hinge from the hips, you can start to fold forward over that leg. So this gives you some time to get into the hamstrings in a little bit different way. But if they are feeling overdone from the other stretch, then definitely want to listen to your body and go easy. Sometimes when you're in a long hold for a yoga pose, your body will start to tell you, oh, that's starting to feel a little bit more relaxed. I might be able to drop into that pose a little farther. And that's okay to do. Your pose might change throughout the course of the hold, and it might change in other ways. You know, sometimes your body says, oh, that was exactly as much stretching as we needed. And now we can ease off of it a little bit. So no matter what your body's telling you, you want to go with that. Start to walk your fingertips back towards your body so that your torso gently lifts. And then extend both legs, windshield wiper them if that feels good. Shake them out a little bit. And we'll set up for one-legged staff on the other side. If you want to stay here, you can. Option to reach your hands up overhead, hinge at the hips, and fold forward over that front leg. And this is one of those poses you can also make it as active or as restorative as you want. Most of us go for very active form with our toes flexed, going for the hamstring stretch. If you'd like it to be more restorative, you can always put a rolled up towel or something under your knee. You could let the foot relax. So you have options here. Adjust the pose as you need, as your body guides you to. If you're ready to release the pose, you can walk your fingertips back towards your body, lifting your torso. And then shake out your legs as you need, whatever feels good. Some blood flow back into them. And we're gonna make our way onto our backs. So you can get there however you want. If you wanna go from your side and lay down, you can. I like to grab onto my handy dandy thighs and then roll down onto my back. And from here, we'll take one last pose. We're going to take a happy baby. So draw one knee up into your chest and then the other. And you can grab onto your big toes with your 2-piece fingers, or you can take a hold of the outside of your foot with your whole hand. Draw your knees into your armpits at the same time. Kick your feet into your hands, creating that tension. And you can rock side to side. You can straighten one leg and then the other if that feels good. When you're done with your happy baby, bring your knees into your chest, hug them tight. You can even bring your forehead up to your knees to curl into a little ball. And release your back down to the mat. If you want to, you can draw imaginary circles on the ceiling with your knees. You're making circles to massage your lower back and your sacrum. And I lied. We're going to do one more pose. We're going to take a supine twist. So let your knees drop over to one side. You can make it a very gentle supine twist, or you can tee out your arms and bring your gaze in the opposite direction as your knees, if that feels good. Bring your head back to center. Bring your knees back to center and gently drop them over to the other side. Bring your head back to center once again. Bring the knees up into the chest. Give them one more good hug. And then release one leg down, followed by the other. And we'll set up for our final Shavasana. So you can lie on your back in corpse pose and let your feet fall out to the sides with your hands down beside you. Or you can take a different pose if you prefer to have your feet on the mat, knees bent and resting against each other. You can do that. If you want to set up some pillows and some props around you so you can get cozy for your Shavasana, you can do that. If you feel comfortable, you can allow your eyes to close. As your body starts to relax, then your arms and your legs start to feel heavy. If you notice any areas of tension or pain that are stealing your focus, allow the pain and tension to melt away. And this Shavasana is your time to rest and reset, to let your yoga practice set in, and also to thank your body for the hard work that it does for you, and to thank yourself for choosing to be on your mat today. Start to deepen your breathing. Feel the rise and fall of your belly or your chest as your breath flows in and out. Like the waves of the ocean washing in on the beach and receding again. Bring awareness back to your body. Feel the places where your arms and legs meet the ground, fully supported by the floor underneath you. And you can start to bring some small movement back into your body. Maybe you want to wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit, or roll your wrists and your ankles in little circles. And you can keep your eyes closed if you want to, or you can start to flutter them open and let in a little bit of daylight. When you're ready, start to roll over onto your side, taking your time. You can keep your knees bent up towards your chest. You can use your arm as a pillow. And moving very slowly, use your hands to press yourself up to seated in whichever way works best for you. And I want to thank you so much for doing yoga with me on a Monday morning. I love sharing my yoga practice with you. And the light in me sees, honors, and reflects the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much. Yeah, actually, you sounding pretty good.
Especially going to Garden of the Gods over the weekends.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys have pretty nice warm weather here?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.